my shorts.
Welcome to the Dave Lee Down Under podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Dave Lee, and this is episode 18. I'm having a case of deja vu here. This is the second time round I'm recording this one. It's beauty that this podcast doesn't go out live, that's for sure. And you can join me every single Monday on the podcast. It goes out on all podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible. All the big ones. The visual element is available on YouTube as well. That goes out 2 days earlier exclusively for the patron supporters. So if you're a patron supporter, you can get that 2 days earlier on the Saturday. Apologies to patrons. We get this one up a little bit later today because we're recording on a Saturday instead of a Friday, but that's okay. You'll get that early. You will get that early. And you know that because you're listening to it anyway. So anyway, if you want to become a patron supporter and get that early access, you can head to patreon.com/Dave Lee Down Under. You can find me on YouTube at Dave Lee Down Under, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Links down in the description below. As you know, click through. The wonder of technology these days, and you're straight there. You're straight there. How good's the World Wide Web? If you want to write into the show, which no one ever does on the email, you can send an email to daveleepod@gmail.com. Like I said last week, I reckon I've had one email to that, but it's okay because you all get me on Twitter, you get me on Instagram, you get me everywhere else. So that's beautiful. But if you want to run an email, there's an option there too. So many avenues that you can get me on. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, please leave some reviews because it does help me get out there and stuff. I've been getting quite a few recently, which is amazing. So thank you guys out there for listening. I've got a very special guest with me today. This is a guy who I've had on the podcast before, so you know that I just love this guy's work so much. I think this guy is one of the best he's definitely the best doing what he's doing, and he's one of the best in the movie space on YouTube. And I'm very, very proud to call this guy a friend. He is a wonderful, wonderful person. I'm happy to have him back on the show. Thank you for joining me. It is, of course, Austin Burke. How you doing, Austin?
Dave. Oh, that music gets me so motivated, man.
Huh?
Your intros are my favorite part of your show. Like, obviously I love the content, but man, you get me so pumped up. It is good to be here, Dave.
Beautiful. You've been good. You're joining me. You were on the last show that you were on was episode, what was it? Episode 15. 3 shows
right.
Before Christmas, though. Yeah. It feels like a lifetime ago. 2020.
It does. I've watched so many movies. It was only, a month ago, but yeah, so many movies since the last time I saw you, Dave. And so many series.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's crazy. It's great. Like I said, it was only like 3. Well, I took a month off over Christmas. I needed the break, and I'm sure you understand this. Did you take a bit of a break yourself?
A little bit. I like to tell myself I'm going to take a break, Dave, and then I get into it. And something about me, it could be the fact that I don't have a lot of friends in real life, Dave. I have you, but it could also be the fact that I don't know. I'm always having to do something, whether it's watch a movie, watch a series, this or that. But I love it, man. I can't complain. I love what I do. I love tuning into your podcast, your channel, and it's a blast to be back on the show, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to have you back on. And you are an expert in all things new movies. You're an expert in all things award ceremonies and all that kind of stuff. Theatrical films, streaming films, which we've had a lot of streaming films over the last 12 months. But there's some stuff that I want to talk about today that you are just an absolute expert in. And I need an expert on the show. And who else better to turn to than you? Because otherwise I'm going to be sitting here for an hour and a half just, trying to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. When I'm not really. Of course, before we get into it, though, please tell everyone out there. I'm sure everyone who's listening to this knows who you are. But for those who don't, give them an introduction to you and where they can find you and all that.
Yeah. I'm Austin Burke on YouTube, just my name. And what I do is I focus on streaming movies and TV shows. I like to review as many things as I can and try to keep the quality with that quantity. I know that's a tough thing to do. I don't know if I've done it as consistently as I wanted to, but I also do random things on YouTube like tier lists. I love pop culture, trying to cover WandaVision every single week. And I'm writing a review for every movie I see on Letterboxd. So Letterboxd has turned into one of my absolute favorite apps, trying to build up a little community over there, and Twitter and Instagram at the Burkinator. Dave, it's a fun space to be in. And we're always collabing and finding other people in our space to do these kinds of videos with, man. But I love what I do. I love watching as much as I can, trying not to overwhelm myself. I got to do a Sundance, which I know we're going to talk about. Watched a lot of movies there, man. And it was just, it was a fun movie-packed, TV show-packed week. I also watched 2 series, and it's just a lot of great content in 2021 so far.
Well, we're only a month in. We're only a month in, and there's been so much stuff already. You were saying how many movies did you watch at Sundance?
I watched, I believe, 24.
Gee, man. In the space of what? Was it a week or was that 2? It was a week. A weekend.
Okay, so the majority came Saturday and Sunday. I think I did 8 Saturday, 8 Sunday. I know I made this joke before the podcast. I am surprised I'm still married. My wife, man, I said, listen, honey, I'm going to be in here. If you want to watch a movie with me, come on over. You know, the movie she chose to watch with me, Dave, was actually, it was the Nicolas Cage Prisoners of the Ghostland. Yeah. And we'll talk about it, but oh man, what a film to pick. What a film to pick.
I've heard some things. I've heard some things about that one for sure. I mean, actually, talking about Nick Cage, I almost forgot this. I'm going to be 1 second. I need to go. Keep people entertained. Talk about whatever you want. I'm going to be 2 seconds. I need to grab something just from over in the corner there.
Absolutely. Well, I can speak upon that movie really quick, Prisoners of the Ghostland. And I know we're going to talk about Sundance here in a bit, but I don't know if I can even say this on the podcast, what Nicolas Cage says in this movie, Dave. Yep. The most Nicolas Cagey, it may be the most Nicolas Cage movie we've ever seen.
Oh, man.
There will be memes, there will be GIFs, there will be essays written about this film, Dave. It was... And I still don't know if it's actually good or not. I gave it. I actually gave it a reasonable score, but man, you will not see another movie like this in 2021. Let me tell you that.
I'm very excited. Now, this right here, this is. I'm going to get this out of the way first because I sometimes forget this. I am running a competition at the moment. It ends on the 8th of Feb, so like the day that this podcast goes out to everyone there. So you've got, I'll give you a little leeway. I might leave it open to like the 9th now, just in case there's people out there who get this a little bit late. I've got 2 DVDs I'm giving away at the moment. Thanks to my friends over at Madman Entertainment. Jiu-Jitsu starring Nick Cage. Austin can't see that, but there you go. That's why you mentioned Nick Cage. I thought, yes, I need to go grab that DVD. So there we go. Got Jiu-Jitsu starring Nick Cage. We got one here called Savage, which is a New Zealand film about New Zealand street gangs. So that looks like a lot of fun as well. To enter this one, you can head to my YouTube. Go to my most recent Blu-ray update video, which is the one for January 2021. Almost said 2020. 2021 January. And you just either let me know your favorite, like, straight to DVD D-grade Nick Cage movie, or let me know your favourite New Zealand film. Favourite film that's come out in New Zealand. How about you, Austin? What's your favourite Nick Cage film? And what's your favourite film to come out of New Zealand?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. New Zealand's tough. I don't know off the top of my head. Where was Hunt for the Wilder People film?
Yeah, New Zealand.
Was that New Zealand? Yeah. That is one of the absolute best movies of that year, and just one that not a lot of people talk about when it comes to Taika Waititi, right? You've got your Jojo Rabbits and your Thor Ragnaroks, and for good reason. Those films are great, but man, Hunt for the Wilder People is just magnificent. Incredible. Nicolas Cage, obviously his Oscar-ish roles, something about, and I don't even know if I would say this is a good movie. I have a lot of nostalgia for his Ghostrider. And it's ridiculous, and I don't know if it's a good film, Dave, but when I watch that movie, there's a sense of joy that overwhelms me when he turns into the Flaming Skull, and I just enjoy watching it. So not my favorite, but that's one I like talking about.
Well, he's actually a story about that. They filmed that in Melbourne, Ghostrider. Yeah, there was a big kick. There was a big kick back then to have movies filmed out in Australia. It's happening again now because of COVID. It's kind of like people are coming out this way to film their movies so they can actually film them. But back then, they filmed Ghostrider here in Melbourne, and we got a phone call. I was very young in high school, probably, I don't know, very early, like one of my first 2 years of high school, whatever. We got a phone call from someone who was like, they're filming Ghostrider. They're filming this Nicolas Cage film in the city right now. I can tell you where to go down there. I was like, damn, yeah. So me and my parents went out there, and it was that scene where he first turns into the Ghostrider and comes down over the side of the building and down the building. And it was an old bank, like a big bank. I think it was the ANZ Bank in Melbourne, like the big headquarters. Okay. And Nick Cage, I'm not too sure if Nick Cage was there. I don't think so. I think it was just a stunt guy. But because we were so far away, but it was insane to just drive down this street where they were filming the movie. SWAT cars everywhere, Hollywood stunt SWAT cars, and then they had people everywhere, extras and stuff. And they were just shooting this scene where he's coming over the edge of the building. And they had a massive spotlight, and it was literally just shining the spotlight down the building, and all the extras were going, sort of thing. But just standing there watching 2 or 3 hours of them doing that, it was just insane. And that was my first experience of, and really one of my only experience of being on a film set and just seeing how it all works. It's just insane. So I've got a little bit of
you see the behind the scenes videos of how all of these things work, and sometimes I'll watch them and I'll say to myself, how does that turn into what we see?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't feel like it matches up, but having that experience, Dave, I would love to just be on a set, see what happens, see a little bit of the process. And I think that's our love of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But it's also just to witness, especially something like Ghostrider, but to witness people watching all the Spider-Man 3 stuff happen right now, to say that you were there to see that when you're watching that film, man, I think that's a cool experience.
Yeah, really it was amazing. And I think that's really the only time I can say, I was there when they shot that, but it's quite, it was quite just weird just to be on that set and just see how it all works. And it's just something as trivial as Ghostrider coming down a building. It's a spotlight and it's over 3 hours. Just the process of making that happen is insane. But so there's my little Ghostrider story that I'd forgotten about until this very moment.
That's crazy.
But there you go. We have got a big show today. We're going to talk about, of course, I said you're the expert in all things new films. You're an expert in the award ceremonies and all that. You do incredible coverage around Oscars season, around award season. I love the stuff that you do sort of around this time of year. It's wonderful, which again is why I've got you on to talk with me today. Of course, we've just had the Golden Globes nominations. We've had the SAG Award nominations as well. Been a bit of controversy kind of arise from both of them, particularly the Golden Globes. So we will talk about that just in a moment, and we'll get into all that. And there's some other tiny bits and pieces of news from the week, mostly Marvel stuff, go figure. And we'll just kind of touch on that, on all of that today as well. But first up, we do have to address this, as has just happened within the last few hours. I woke up to this news this morning. It's 10 a.m. here in Australia. But I woke up to this news, and it was obvious, the sad news that celebrated actor Christopher Plummer has passed away at the age of 91. Died peacefully at his home. Wonderful, wonderful actor. He's had a career over 75 years. 75-year career. Jeez. Looked on IMDb, 217 credits to his name across television and film in that time. Just a few of the films that he's been in over the years. If you're not too familiar with his body of work, if you're listening out there, I'm sure you are though, because this guy's a titan of the screen. Sound of Music, it was Captain Von Trapp, of course. Battle of Britain, Waterloo, The Man Who Would Be King, Fall of the Roman Empire, Hanover Street, Somewhere in Time, Malcolm X, 12 Monkeys, A Beautiful Mind, Inside Man, National Treasure, another great with Nick Cage, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the remake, of course, Man Who Invented Christmas, All the Money in the World, which is the film that he stepped in for when Kevin Spacey got the boot. Knives Out, which was just a terrific, terrific movie. All of these are great films. And for my animation fans out there, he did a bit of work in animation as well. He did voice work in Don Bluth's Rockadoodle and in An American Tail, which was the one done for Amblin, Steven Spielberg. He was in that one. Cool. He was the narrator in the Madeline TV series, Madeline. Did you ever watch? Did you get that?
What?
Yeah, he was I didn't realize that till this morning. He was the narrator in Madeline. Yeah, from the beginning. I was going through the list of IMDb and I was seeing Madeline Goes to Paramount. I was like, really? And you go right down here, Madeline the series, Madeline the New Adventures or whatever it is. Yeah, he was the narrator in that show. How crazy is that? He was, of course, Charles Muntz in Up, Pixar's Up. And he was just working on an animated film, his final production. It was called Heroes of the Golden Masks, which is a film that's in production at the moment as well. So just an incredible breadth of a career. Again, as I said, one of the absolute titans of the screen, and it feels like we're losing the remaining ones really quickly at the moment. Christopher Plummer, what a guy. What's your favourite, what if you can even pinpoint, like a favourite Christopher Plummer performance?
I mean, you mentioned A Beautiful Mind. You mentioned some of his old classic and incredible The Insider, you know, these roles that just really established. To find out some of his animation roles, it's funny, you watch some of these animated films, you don't even realize that there's a huge star presence, right, as the narrator in that situation. But I think what really impresses me is at his age, more recently, of course, stepping in for Spacey, but his performance in Knives Out, you have to think to give the emotional performance that he gave at that age and to stand out amongst a crowd that big is really, really impressive, man.
Absolutely.
And obviously you mentioned Up, and it's funny because that may be one of my favorites of his is the character of Charles Muntz, I believe is his name. Man, I mean, what a well-rounded, phenomenal actor, a wonderful life, 75 years, a career that spans multiple generations, and a guy whose presence is going to be missed big time in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, just one of those guys that just kept working. And, you know, you get people these days, we talk Nick Cage, we talk Bruce Willis, who are still doing movies just constantly for the paycheck. And you know they're just there for the paycheck. They're just getting that money. They're just going through the rhythms. Particularly Bruce Willis. There was I don't know if you saw the trailer for that. I can't remember what it's called. Some really weird sci-fi film. It just looks awful. He's just mumbling his way through his lines and just looks like he doesn't want to be there. But you get someone like Chris Plummer, who has been in the game for 75 years and still pumping out incredible performances at 90 years old. You know, his work in Knives Out, as you said, absolutely phenomenal. And some of his best work of his career came in his, last couple of decades. It's insane. Yeah. It's insane. And and I feel like all the actors from that generation, particularly, I mean, not to disparage anyone acting now, because, we got so many people who are just upcoming or who are not even at the end of their career yet. But then you do pinpoint people like Bruce Willis or Nick Cage who feel like they're going through the rhythm. This particular age, this era of these actors like Christopher Plummer and Kirk Douglas, who we lost recently as well, and they're just constantly going. I mean, Kirk Douglas obviously stepped out a while ago with health problems and stuff, but his... just that generation of actors that were still going at 90 years old and pumping out just incredible performances. You just got to really admire that. And even like looking back as far as Sound of Music, Fall of the Roman Empire, these big classic epic films. And just to be just going constantly for 75 years.
And an Oscar-nominated performance in 2017 in All the Money in the World. Oscar-nominated, stepping in a role that wasn't even necessarily meant for that kind of character. Man, what an achievement that is. Just phenomenal at his age.
Didn't they reshoot that in like 4 weeks or something, like really crazy? And then bloody Oscar nomination. He was incredible in that film.
Yes, he was.
To just step into the boots of someone and go, I've got this. I'm 90-something, 80, like late 80s, and going, I've got this. Man. Wow. What a legend. And, we've lost him. Unfortunately, there's another legend we've lost, but he's left, as I said, an incredible body of work behind him. And go and check out some of his works out there, guys, if you haven't seen, particularly some of his older stuff. Because I feel like a lot of his older films, while there's a lot of big epics in there's a lot of stuff that kind of gets buried. Have you seen Waterloo? This is one I only just watched recently.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. And, man, you talk about range. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I think I saw that my first year in college. And I think I saw it because of a film class, if I'm remembering correctly. And just, man, we lost a legend today. I mean, just, very sad. Very sad. Just thought, we'd bring that up at the beginning of the show, just to pay our respects to the great man. Great stuff. Yes.
at that, we will let's dive into the Golden Globe stuff first of all. Now, this has been a very controversial year. Like now I said to you before before we started the podcast, I am someone who I feel like is always really far behind on newer releases, and whether that's because we tend to get a lot of, especially like the smaller independent stuff, we get very late here in Australia. So we might get 6 to 12 months later than the States. So I don't get to see a lot of this stuff. Like I probably could have had the chance to do the Sundance thing myself, but as I said, the kind of views that I get on my channel wouldn't be worth me spending, a whole week doing that kind of stuff away from my other things. So whether it's, that I don't have the chance to see it, or I just get lazy and don't go to the cinema, I have too much other stuff to do. I always feel like I'm far behind on the newest stuff, but you are ahead of the game on absolutely everything. You cover everything. So I wanted to get and as I said, your coverage of award season is just first class. It's unmatched. So I wanted to just kind of get you in and talk about all this. It's been very controversial, as I said, this year. First off, what are your thoughts on the Golden Globes as a whole? Like, just in general, I feel like, for those out there who don't know, the Golden Globes are accolades bestowed, this is from their website, the Golden Globes Awards are accolades bestowed by the 93 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. They started in January 1944, and they recognize excellence in film, both American and international, and American television as well. Over the years, the Golden Globes have had a bit of a bad rap as kind of like the joke award ceremony, the ones that aren't so, no one really takes them as serious as the rest. What's your kind of take on the Golden Globes?
Yeah, it's interesting because while I'm a big awards ceremony, I'm a sports fan, right? I like competition, and my favorite thing in the world, movies, other than my wife and my dog, movies. To see them go head to head and compete against each other in a bunch of different categories is awesome. Yeah. So I'm watching the Golden Globes, I'm reacting, I'm loving it, I'm enjoying it. But at the same time, you look at the very small body of voters and the fact that something like Critics' Choice, you get thousands of people. The SAG Awards, you get thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And then the Oscars, very well-rounded. And they've made an effort to make it even more well-rounded over the last couple of years, which I love. I think that's great. But for the Golden Globes, it's just a very small selection. And they tend to make decisions that don't sit well with me. And I know in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I'm a guy on YouTube, right? But, to see a movie like Minari be considered a foreign film when the movie takes place in the United States and was shot in the United States, to me, that's strange, right? And some of these decisions, and then we'll talk about the nominations, and it happens every single year, and at a point, you're just kind of like, is this part of this joke? Is somebody messing with me right now? So I still root for who I root for, and most of the time you get the winners that should win. But in terms of the nominations, they're not always up to par, in my opinion.
Well, it is obviously a prestigious award to win. It is a prestigious prestigious ceremony and all that. But as you said, some of the nominations are just, and it is almost every year, just really baffling. Like, this is the award ceremony that notoriously nominated The Martian for Best Motion Picture Comedy.
Comedy.
Like, what? And it's like a recurring thing with this award ceremony. It's almost like we want to give a nomination to this film, but there's too many already in the drama category, so let's just shove it into the comedy category kind of thing. It's almost like like how are you making your decisions sort of thing. And there is a big number. You mentioned one already with Minari in the foreign language film category. But there's quite a few just very, very baffling things. A lot of snubs this year, a lot of big snubs this year as well. Let's roll through them. Let's roll through them and kind of go one by one, what our thoughts are on these. Keeping in mind, again, I have seen very few of the things that are up for nomination here, so I'm going to do my best to kind of give my thoughts on what I have seen and just kind of a semi-educated guess on other things. So we'll start off, I'm on the website, so we'll go from the top here. The best picture drama nominated this year was The Father, Mank, Nomadland, and Promising Young Woman, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. Out of all 5 of those, I've seen one, which is The Trial of the Chicago 7. I've not had the time to see Mank. I'm dying to see it. I just haven't had the time. Promising Young Woman, I am dying to see as well. So what are your thoughts on this? Are these good nominations? Are there any snubs here in your eyes?
Yeah, Promising Young Woman getting on there was not, completely unexpected. I thought maybe, Da Five Bloods or some of these films kind of chomping at the bit. But overall, Dave, this is probably the best group of nominees we're going to see, because I think all 5 of these movies, especially, Dave, when The Father comes out, make an effort. That film has climbed and climbed up my list, just thinking about it and then watching it again. But some great movies here, and honestly, I think all five of these. Now, Promising Young Woman, it was on the edge. I could have used maybe a Minari in there, but I think now all 5 of these are going to get nominated for Best Picture, so it's a pretty good category.
Awesome, yeah. Well, Nomadland is opening here, and I'm not sure if it's open here already. They did like a preview season for that in December. Did like a 2-week preview, and then I think it's opening in maybe this month, I think. So I will hopefully get a chance to go and see that one. I know Disney's distributing that over here. But from what I know about these films, I think they're good nominations. I watched The Five Bloods, which I thought was great, and I also thought that was a very strange. You're wearing the hat, of course, yeah. I thought it was a very strange omission there too. Did that get snubbed completely at the Globes? Almost completely?
I believe I know Chadwick got the SAG, which we'll talk about. I think it may have. I think it may have got. We'll see as we go. But man, the Five Bloods, no love.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I read it. Just got completely snubbed, which is very strange. Best Picture Musical Comedy. I've seen a number of these. We've got Borat, subsequent movie film. Hamilton, which was the film stage production. Music, Sia's Music. Palm Springs, which I thought was terrific. Phenomenal. And The Prom. Yes. Well, what are our takes on me personally? Borat, fantastic. I just thought it was I'm a huge fan of Sacha Baron. I'm a huge fan of Borat. The way he pushes the boundaries is just insane. Palm Springs, man, was just... I didn't know what to expect going into that, and it just completely blew me away. For Hamilton to get nominated in this is very strange. Obviously, Disney's going to be pushing real hard for any nominations they can get. But to me, it doesn't feel like a movie. It was a film stage production that was just filmed for the sake of filming it and maybe releasing it one day. So that feels like a very strange omission there. And then we've got Sia's Music, which is all kinds of controversial, and The Prom, which I haven't seen because it doesn't look great, but I don't know. It's just my opinion on it. What are your thoughts on these nominations here?
Well, so the Hamilton thing, I'm with you. It's being considered a television movie in a lot of other award ceremonies, which is what I kind of considered it. Now, that's not a knock. It is. I think it received the highest grade of anything I watched last year. So clearly not a knock. I just don't really see it as a movie.
No, I agree.
Can I ask you a question, Dave? Yeah. What is music?
This is a film made by Sia, of course, Australian art. You'd know Sia?
I know Sia. I know her music. Yeah. I thought I knew everything about movies, Dave. And I'll tell you what, when this came up, I had no clue what this was.
Now, I don't know if it's opened here. They've done preview screenings. I chose not to go and see it. I used to be a fan of Sia. I used to really love her music. Then I went and saw one of her concerts. It was the worst concert I ever went to in my life. Wow. She's a artist more than anything else. So everything she does is very artistic, whether it's her music clips or just straight down to her stage shows. It was like going to see a piece of art performance. And she's a performer who likes to cover her face. She always wears like the big wigs and all that kind of stuff, and you never really get to see her face or anything. So her concert was literally her standing in the corner of a stage. And keep in mind, this is in a big stadium, like a huge sports stadium. She's standing in the corner of the stage. There's pretty much nothing on the stage, like an empty stage. She's standing in the corner with a microphone, comes out, doesn't say hello to the crowd, just starts singing. And she's got dancers up on the stage. You've got videos, screens playing video, but it's pre-recorded versions of what's happening on stage. Now, artistically, very clever, but it's not what I was expecting out of a concert. Right?
Yeah.
She literally stood in the corner of the stage for an hour. It was a very short concert, like an hour and a half. Obviously you don't see her face. She got the wig. She came out, doesn't address the audience once, and sung a bunch of stuff and then left. So for all I know, it might not have been her, it might have been a star. Like, I'm sure it was her, but you just don't know. You know, it's one of those things where I could be just standing seeing some random with a wig, right? So that's how I feel about Sia anyway. But I think her music's quite good. But this is a movie that she's made. Again, I don't know too much about it, but I believe it's about a young autistic girl, and the film is supposed to be about sort of like a visualization of what it's like to be, an autistic person. And she is, of course, cast someone who isn't autistic in the lead role, which is where a lot of the big controversies come from. And everything I've heard about this movie says it's just awful. And whether it's the controversial side of it or whether it's just as a movie itself, that's Sia's music, really, including a rant from myself about her concert, which was terrible. So I was very surprised as well, because this is something that I hadn't heard of outside of all of the controversy. Yeah. And to sweep in, and we'll see, it's been nominated quite a few times.
I've never been so baffled, Dave, and I felt so bad in my video that I made. I'm just like, guys, I've never been in that situation before where I had just straight up never heard of something. And now that I'm seeing the controversy, maybe I have slid past it. I try to avoid most of the time, just like if I see controversial things, okay. And then I'll look into it on my own time and not necessarily respond to it. Yeah. And, after looking into it, I think some of the criticisms are valid. And, sure. I'm not necessarily intrigued, especially after seeing the scores from everybody, to watch this film. So where does something like this come from? Is it just a lack of comedies from last year? Because even a movie like Freaky, I thought...
I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things about it. I've just watched two Vince Vaughn movies the last couple of days. Dragged Across Concrete and Brawl in Cell Block 99. Man, amazing. Holy shit.
Dave, man. A new world opened up, man.
I know. I am not one for like blood and gore and slasher films and stuff like that. But these two films, the most brutally, graphically violent films I've ever seen in my life, and I loved every moment of it, man. And he is incredible in those movies, Vince Vaughn. So I'm dying to see what he does with Freaky. So that's I feel like you're right. Maybe it's almost like we got a couple of comedies in here. Let's add something else. Let's just add a couple of music things. Again, I feel like maybe that's where they came from with Hamilton. Again,
it's called music. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Well, yeah,
right?
Exactly right. Nominate music for music. Why not? Hamilton was great. I thought Hamilton was amazing. This was my first experience with anything Hamilton, and I was obsessed with it. I watched it a number of times. Fantastic. But again, it is a recording of a Broadway production from a number of years ago that was simply recorded because Lin-Manuel was like, maybe we'll release it one day. Maybe we'll sell it off one day and someone will buy it and just release it as whatever, or DVD or something. And then it went up on Disney Plus, and now it's apparently a movie. I don't want to disparage it, but it does. It just feels weird. It would almost be like, and I've heard Disney is doing this. They're prepping a version of the Aladdin Broadway show to go on Disney Plus. So it would feel. I was going to say it would feel like if they filmed Aladdin, the Broadway show, and then put that in one of these nominations. But I feel like that might actually happen. In a year or two. Oh. So, what are your thoughts on The Prom? I don't really know too much about this one.
It's okay. It's not a film that necessarily strikes me. Ryan Murphy's name is attached to it. And normally when his name is attached, we see these kinds of nominations. He has a very distinct visual style that I like. The movie to me, it was fun, entertaining, does not feel like an awards film. But again, I think it's honestly just a lack of films in this category. Not that it doesn't deserve it. I still gave it a fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's not one that I was writing home about at the end of the day. I'll say that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next category, which is Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. Again, I've seen one of these films. We've got Viola Davis from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is the one I have seen. Andra Day from United States vs. Billie Holiday. Vanessa Kirby from Pieces of a Woman. Frances McDormand from Nomadland. And Carey Mulligan from Promising Young Woman. Viola Davis was just terrific in that. I wasn't a huge fan of the film itself. I just feel like these movies that are like straight adaptation, like almost like it's a play, obviously an adaptation of a play, and it just feels very theatrical to me. That kind of thing doesn't really work for me. I wasn't a huge fan of Fences either, but the performances in that movie, man, were just absolute first class, whether it's Viola Davis or Chadwick Boseman or really any of the supporting cast. Incredible. I'm a huge fan of Carey Mulligan, man. I am such a Carey Mulligan stan, and I have been for such a long time. To see her getting so much just incredible praise and spotlight this year has been amazing, and I don't know why I haven't seen Promising Young Woman yet, but I'm dying to see it. And Frances McDormand is incredible. Vanessa Kirby is incredible. I can't say I'm too familiar with Andra Day, but this is a powerhouse selection of incredible actresses here. What are your thoughts on this category?
I love it. So 4 out of the 5, I think, are locks for a best actress nomination at the Oscars. Andra Day, she surprised me because The United States versus Billie Holiday is not the film I think everybody expects it to be. A lot of people see that as maybe an awards contender. I've seen it. I don't think that's the case. But her performance was mesmerizing, so I could see. I personally would have said Zendaya, but it's not a movie. It may go over well with some critics. I could see why. Just kind of the way the movie plays out and how they're kind of talking about critics in the movie. Yeah. Okay, so I can see that. That kind of who's going to get that 5th spot. But the other 4, Dave, I mean, just across the board, maybe one of the strongest we're going to see in terms of overall, because I can't tell you who's going to win, Dave. I mean, I could make a strong argument for every single person in this category. Carey Mulligan crushes it. McDormand was the front runner for so long. Viola Davis is a powerhouse in that film. Vanessa Kirby may even be my personal favorite just because of what she had to do with that movie. But all 4, I think, are 100% deserving of being on this list.
Yeah, I think so too. I just, again, haven't seen many of the films, but just knowing what their performances are like, seeing clips and stuff, amazing. I'm a huge fan of The Crown. I love The Crown, man. And Vanessa Kirby, and that was just terrific. I have to get to these movies, man. I'm bloody doing a movie podcast. I know. There's so much stuff. I'm very interested to see how that kind of that one pans out. Actually, I was going to say at the beginning, the Golden Globes, we say, as much as they're kind of like a jokey kind of thing, there's we laugh about them, whatever. They do very much give us an idea of where award season is going to go, particularly in the lead up to the Oscars.
There is, there are obviously a mixture of Critics' Choice Awards and SAG Awards and this and that. But when the Golden Globes, we'll talk about Jared Leto here in just a little bit. Yeah. But when they sneak in these random nominations, that's what we like to call picking up steam in the Oscar race. Yeah. And we're seeing that with Jared Leto. And where did it all start? Well, it was the Golden Globes. Yeah. And we see that, I think, pretty much every year for the last 10 years, we've seen one or two of these nominees just start rolling with the Golden Globes. And it happens every year. Yeah,
it's insane. But I feel like a lot of people don't quite understand about these award ceremonies, or just have never, kind of stumbled across the information, is that they're all lobbied for by the studio. In most cases, it's not just a board of people going, oh, yeah, we like that movie, we like this actor, we like this actress, we liked whatever. The studios put millions of dollars into pushing their films and pushing their actors. There you go, you're wearing the swag. They send you big swag boxes of stuff for your consideration. And big press ads in like Hollywood Reporter and Variety and all that kind of stuff. There's a massive push from the studios. And a company like Disney will just millions and millions of dollars to just get a nomination for something. Yeah. Again, every now and then you do get someone who just slides on in there, and you kind of think, well, what's the studio done kind of behind the scenes? We're not privy to a lot of it, but there's a lot of politics kind of involved in these things. It's not so much, that was a great film, that was a great actor. Talking about actors, best actor in a motion picture, Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal, I saw that one. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Very, very good.
Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, of course. Anthony Hopkins in The Father, Gary Oldman in Mank, and Taha Rahim in, I'm going to pronounce this correctly, The Mauritanian. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mauritanian, yeah. Again, and in just powerhouse, this collection of actors right here. You've got the great Anthony Hopkins right there. Ooh. Gary Oldman, Chadwick Boseman, the man, our king. He is up. Oh, man. And Riz Ahmed is a guy who has come through recently and just absolutely blown away everything he's done. I watched, what was that series he did for HBO? The Night Before? Was that the one that he was in?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Incredible stuff.
Very good.
Amazing.
Very, very
I'm not too familiar with Taha Rahim, I will say, but I'm sure he is, if he's in a league with these guys here, I'm sure he's a powerhouse as well. Out of the two films that I have seen, I want Chadwick to win this because I love the guy. He's our king. He is an absolute legend, but Riz Ahmed was incredible in Sound of Metal as well. It's very tough. Where do you stand on this category?
Oh, it's so stacked. Now, the Mauritanian did surprise me with that nomination. He's very, very good in the film. I think, again, the lack of Da 5 Bloods, Delroy Lindo, I was very surprised.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, man, really starting to get me nervous about the Oscars. And we even saw with the SAG Awards, which we'll talk about, Stephen Yeun, I believe is Yin Yoon, slip in above Delroy. So not a lot of love there. But in terms of Martini, really good. I'd say the four there, Riz, Chadwick, Anthony, Gary. I think Gary's a lock at this point for the Oscars. This points to that. My heart wants Chadwick. Honestly, my heart kind of wants Chadwick or Riz because it's like you look at Anthony Hopkins, it's like, oh, he's been there, he's done that, he's won the awards. But Dave, the father, is outstanding.
I have to say
it is. I mean, to live, you're basically living a life, seeing everything from his perspective through a man with dementia who can't remember where he is and who is around him. And what a heartbreaking film. And just to see that performance, it could go either way with Chadwick or Anthony. It's according on which one starts to pick up steam. I still think Chadwick's going to win it, but Anthony Hopkins, be on the lookout for him this Oscar season.
You got me excited for that movie. I'm definitely I'm definitely fast tracking that as soon as I can get a chance to see it. Yeah. Definitely. But you mentioned Delroy Lindo, Da 5 Bloods. Man, his performance in that film is just outstanding, and it baffles me now you mention it that he is not in there. Like I said, that movie just got so snubbed in this. We talked about Da 5 Bloods last week. I thought it was a really great movie. I didn't love it, completely love it, but I thought it was incredible. Incredible film. Yes. And a lot of that film rides on Delroy Lindo's performance in that movie. To see him snubbed here is just... I think I even wrote in my Letterboxd review all the awards to Delroy Lindo, and to see him not even nominated, it's just like, man, it's stuff like that. It just really baffles you. All right, so let's go on to page 2. We've got Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. We've got Maria Bakalova from Borat, subsequent movie film. Kate Hudson from Sia's Music. Michelle Pfeiffer from French Exit. Rosamund Pike, I Care a Lot, and Anya Taylor-Joy from Emma. Now, I have seen Borat, and I've seen Emma as well. Out of those two, Matt, I just want Maria Bakalova to take this award because she was outstanding in that film. Yeah. For someone to be in a film with Sacha Baron Cohen and outdo him at his own game, she was game to do anything that he was up for doing. To see someone from out of nowhere, really, come in and just stand him up in his own film, I think she just deserves it all. Deserves all the praise. I'm so happy she's at least been nominated here. Anya Taylor-Joy, though, as well, man. I just think she is incredible. I wasn't a huge fan of Emma. it's a film that I feel like I want to go back and watch because I feel like I didn't absorb it all properly at the time. I feel like there's more in there to unpack. I enjoyed it, but I feel like there's kind of more to it. But she was amazing in that, and she was incredible in The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, man. I'm becoming such a big fan of hers as well. We've got Michelle Pfeiffer, Rosamund Pike, greats as well. Kate Hudson is fantastic, but she's in there for Sia's music, and that is really a big controversy as well here. That's one of the big things that people are saying, really? What are your takes on this?
Yeah, this one's I don't want to say difficult because I didn't see music. French Exit is not a movie that I responded to.
Yeah.
I Care a Lot was a little random. I could see Rosamund Pike. To me, like you, it is Anya Taylor-Joy. It is Maria from Borat, and I think you're going to see Maria take this.
I hope so.
And I think it could, Dave. We could see an Oscar nomination for Borat.
Oh man, that is the life. That is the life I've been living towards, man. Yeah. Oh, I was that 13-year-old walking around high school wearing a Borat t-shirt and doing stupid Borat impersonations to see Borat going up for an Oscar, man.
Wow.
Amazing.
Crazy.
Amazing. Yes. That's a very interesting category. There's some powerhouse performers in there, and then you've got Maria Bakalova, another powerhouse performer. It's come out of absolutely nowhere and done this silly little film. Man, I hope she takes it. I really do. As much as I love all the other performers there, she deserves it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Best actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. We've got Sacha Baron for Borat, of course. James Corden for The Prom. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Hamilton. Dev Patel, Personal History of David Copperfield. And Andy Samberg in Palm Springs. Now, again, I've seen 3 of these. That's the most I've seen out of any of these so far. Sacha Baron, terrific, but I'm not sure if he'll win an award for it. James Corden, I'm just not a fan of. I'm not really a huge fan of James Corden. I can take him or leave him. Lin-Manuel is incredible, but I feel like it would be weird for what is essentially a Broadway performance. It's not a performance that was done for a film to take out a Golden Globe over people who were, again, not taking away from his work, because his work is stellar and incredible, and he puts as much into his work as anyone else in this category. But it feels, again, this whole Hamilton thing just feels like a different thing. It just, to me, doesn't feel like it doesn't stack up with these other films. It doesn't, my brain can't comprehend it because it's a Broadway production, But he's incredible. He's amazing in that. Dev Patel, I haven't seen Personal History of David Copperfield, but I love him. I think he's amazing. And Andy Samberg in Palm Springs. Out of the ones that I've watched, I like his hands down, Andy Samberg. And this is, again, someone I've been on and off again over the years. I love some of his stuff. I really don't like some of his stuff. I loved Palm Springs, man. This was one of the best films of last year. Hands down, it just completely blindsided. I had no idea what this movie was about going into it. And it's just one of those movies that you just watch and you are aware that you are watching something special at the time. And you're like, man, I am loving this. I can see that you're getting real hyped up for Andy Samberg here as well.
Take it home, Andy. Come on. Take it home. And I'm with you with Hamilton. Lin-Manuel, honestly, if you were to ask me, I would actually say Daveed Diggs or Leslie Odom Jr.'s performances in that are maybe even a bit better than Lin-Manuel. But I understand. The big snub for me here, Dave, have you seen Another Round with Mads Mikkelsen yet?
Oh, no. It's only just, I don't think it's opened here. I think they're doing preview screenings for that at the moment.
Okay.
Or maybe it's just open this week. Yeah.
I will tell you this. It is my number 2 movie of 2020.
Oh.
Number 2. My 3 were Soul, Another Round, Palm Springs.
Wow.
It's my top 3.
Right.
And Mikkelsen comes alive in a way that you've never seen, because usually he's kind of the stoic, he's the villainous character, he's got the impact when he walks into a room, but here, a little bit stingy, but there's a scene in this film, man, that I think has Oscars written all over it, and not a lot of people are talking about him. Now, I think a lot of critics are talking, why isn't Mikkelsen being talked about a bit more? But to nominate James Corden over Mikkelsen, to me, just I don't know, Dave.
It's strange.
About that?
I don't know. Like I said, the stuff I've heard about The Prom is that not terrific. It's not like a huge caliber film. It's just one of those, it's all right. And
great story.
Yeah. It's just one of those, I don't know. That does feel weird for me to see, but it is even weird to see Sacha Baron Cohen there as well. As incredible as his performance is in there, it is just weird to see Borat, going up in one of these. I love it, awards. But it's so weird. Yeah. But yeah, no, for me, it's Andy Samberg hands down because that film was just amazing. Absolutely incredible.
Agreed. Yeah. Yes.
Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture. Let's see. I have not seen any of these films. So we've got Glenn Close in Hillbilly Elegy, which has been a bit of a not really controversial film, but one that's, give or take. Olivia Colman for The Father, Jodie Foster in The Mauritanian, Amanda Seyfried from Mank, and Helena Zengel from News of the World, which is that one with Tom Hanks, right? Which is still, it's supposed to go on Netflix here, but they haven't announced when. I think it'll just kind of just drop. They'll be like, it's out tomorrow. And as soon as that drops, I'm watching it, man. I'm there for Tom Hanks. Any Tom Hanks movie, I'm there for, man. These are all incredible performers. I think Olivia Colman is, it's just amazing. Everything she has done the last few years is just amazing. I love Amanda Seyfried, Jodie Foster. I think all of these are fantastic. I haven't seen News of the World, so I'm not familiar with Helena Zengel, but it's amazing for someone so young to be up against. Imagine being that young and going up against Glenn Close, Olivia Colman, Jodie Foster, Amanda Seyfried. Like, it's baffling.
It's a tough week.
Yeah. I could see the glint in your eyes when I mentioned Olivia Colman here.
It's my choice. Yeah. I mean, again, I just feel like I'm the guy rooting for The Father. Actually, I have moved The Father up my list. I didn't originally have it in my top 5, but again, it's just one of those films. I believe it was Chris Stuckman's favorite movie of last year, if I'm not wrong, which I saw that and I was like, yes, Stuckman. But Olivia Colman, I think, deserves this, but I don't think she's going to win it. I think Glenn Close could win this.
Yeah.
A lot of people backing her right now. A lot of talk of Glenn Close. I did not love the movie.
Yeah,
but her performance is absolutely outstanding. I think there are some snubs here. Ellen Burstyn from Pieces of a Woman was phenomenal. Yoo Jung-yoon from Minari played the grandmother.
Yep.
Outstanding. So, some big time. And I don't think that's going to ruin their Oscar chances just because I don't see Jodie Foster. I don't see, Helena Zengel, she got the SAG.
Yeah.
She got the SAG. Yeah. So she's kind of surging. So again, man, this is one of those award shows that could kind of shake up the conversation. But right now I'm between Close and Coleman. I'm going to choose Close to win.
Yeah.
Coleman is my favorite right now.
Beautiful. I love it. Now we've got Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture. We've got Mr. Sacha Baron Cohen is back, but this time it's not for Borat. It's for Trial of the Chicago 7, which I've seen. Ooh, yeah. Terrific, man. Two Golden Globes for Sacha Baron. How good is that? Daniel Kaluuya going up for Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm dying to see it. Hasn't opened yet here. Haven't had any screenings or anything. I'm dying for that one. Jared Leto for The Little Things, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and we'll unpack that one. Bill Murray for On the Rocks. Was that film that went to Apple? Yes, I still haven't got to that yet.
Really
but
good
it looks
performance.
fantastic.
It's nice to see him kind of make a little bit of a resurgence here. So
yeah, for sure. And then Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, which I was gonna watch, but my Amazon Prime membership thing ran out. I'm gonna renew it again when Coming to America comes out, Coming to America. So I'll renew it for that, and I'll definitely be watching One Night in Miami when I renew it. But out of these, I have seen Trial of Chicago 7. I saw The Little Things like 3 or 4 nights ago. I haven't seen any others here. What are your thoughts here? This is one of the most controversial categories for this year's Golden Globes.
Yeah. Well, this one was weird. I'll tell you. It's just so strange. And I had someone on Twitter say, Austin, you don't like Jared Leto? He's a good actor. I love Jared Leto. We're not talking about Jared Leto as an actor. We're talking about Jared Leto in The Little Things. And I didn't respond to that movie all that much. And that's fine. It doesn't. It's the performance, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think he's the second best performance in that film. It's strange to me, and it's a good performance. Don't get me wrong. But we are separating good performance from an awards-worthy performance. And there are vast majority of individuals that I thought, a couple from Chicago 7, a couple from One Night in Miami that I think deserved it over him. And I could not believe that he got in. Kaluuya's going to take it. Mark it down, write it, send it in the mail. He's going to take it. This is one of the best performances I've seen in a long, long time. He's mesmerizing when he's on screen. But to see Jared Leto get in it and then get the SAG nomination, it's a thing, people. Yeah. It's a thing, and it could happen with the Oscars. Yeah.
I saw the Little Things a few nights ago. I thought it was okay. I'm a fan of like slow-boiling crime dramas from the 90s. And whether that's because they're the movies I grew up with or whatever, I always haven't, I love those kind of movies. So it worked for me. I didn't love it, but it worked for me. Jared Leto, again, as you said, was a good performance, but I feel like it's more of a fun performance than, again, maybe something that's awards worthy. But the one thing I took away from that is that he feels like he's in a completely different film to anyone else. In fact, I think the three leads almost feel like they're each acting in a different film than the other person. So it's kind of, they all deliver fantastic performances, but they all just feel so vastly different that it's almost like even that movie going up for the award is very strange. And Leto's performance here is such a character-driven thing, but it's not anything we haven't seen before. It's nothing incredibly special. It's fun. It's exciting, but to put him up again instead of someone like Delroy Lindo or even, another one for Chadwick Boseman or just any of these. Yeah,
I'll tell you this. You saw Sound of Metal. How about Paul Raci from Sound of Metal? Yeah.
Oh, come on. Gosh, he was incredible. I don't think I'd ever seen him in anything before. I was thinking, who is this guy? Neither. Amazing. Incredible. Yeah, that was the big controversy, like saying, why has he not gone up for this one? Like, insane. But it is what it is. It's studios probably playing around in the background. We got Jared Leto. Push him out there. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And again, Bill Murray, looking forward to seeing On the Rocks. It's just something I haven't got around to. I keep forgetting that I even have Apple TV because there's never anything on there that interests me. But I do want to watch that. Judas and the Black Messiah. Your quote, you got a pull quote for that, didn't you? On one of the TV spots, one of the digital spots. Amazing. Good work.
I thank you, man. I couldn't believe it. I always thought that studios would notify you of that kind of thing. And I had a bunch of people tag me and I was just like, what is this? Yeah. I was like, first I saw it. I'm like, who wrote this? And then I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. or that was me man, it's cool. It really is cool. And it's not cool because, Austin's got a big head. He likes, it's cool because what we've worked towards, my community, the fans, man, Flick Fan Nation, we just like to get ourselves out there and to take people like us, Dave, seriously, these YouTubers, man. You're getting to talk to Gal Gadot. You're getting to talk to Patty Jenkins, Dave. I mean, come on, man. What a cool gig that we have, man. I love anytime I see you, any of my friends on YouTube get opportunities like that, man. It just makes all of these things worth it at the end of the day. I thought that was really cool, man.
I totally agree. I had a couple for Disney last year, the pull quotes, and they did notify me. They sent me an email and they asked for my permission to use the quote. What? So then to hear that they just did it without even telling you is so wild. And I mean, there was someone else who'd done. Was it Griff Schiller? His quote for WandaVision was used in the WandaVision, and he didn't know either about that. He wasn't notified. So how weird to just it's just another world. But every time I see one of us guys from YouTube, one of us gals from YouTube, getting that recognition, as you said, it's not a big-headed thing. It's almost like I've been reviewing things for these studios for 10 years now for various outlets. And you put in so much work, and a lot of the time you feel like you're not taken as seriously as, maybe not that you think you should be taken, not as seriously as you think you should be taken, but you're not taken as seriously as you'd like to be taken. And I've seen a big push recently, last 6 months, of people from our space getting pull quotes on TV commercials because they're starting to take our space a lot more seriously. And they're starting to realize It's all about Rotten Tomatoes. People are going to Rotten Tomatoes for their reviews and stuff. That Rotten Tomatoes has a huge weight to whether a film does well or a film tanks. And I think they're finally going, well, these guys are actually doing something that is noteworthy, recognizable. I don't know. It's just always nice to get that kick to be like, they take you serious and they give you that recognition. And it's, for me, I was so happy to see that you got a pull quote on this film.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I love to see it. I'm dying to see that film as well. Yes, of course.
Oh, so good.
Of course. All right, Best Director in a Motion Picture. We've got, let's see, have I seen any of these? I've seen Trial of Chicago 7. Okay, so Aaron Sorkin for Trial of Chicago 7, Regina King for One Night in Miami, David Fincher for Mank, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Again, this is just a stacked category who are just, again, having only seen one of these films, but a big fan of everyone else who is in here, and their body of work is just so incredible. I'm a big Sorkin fan. I love his work. I think he's got one of the greatest voices in Hollywood. Just the way he writes dialogue, the walk and talk stuff that he does in all his stuff. West Wing. I'm just a huge fan, man. I'm a huge Sorkin fan. And I'd like to see him take away an award, but again, I haven't seen any of these other films, which all just look so powerhouse. Chloe Zhao is an incredible, incredible director, and I'd like to see her win it as well, man. I don't know. David Fincher, like the great, like, where do you stand on this one?
So when everything first started, first of all, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, cool to see. I maybe expected like a Spike Lee kind of thing, but very cool to see. I like this category quite a bit. And, Oscar season starts, everybody's thinking David Fincher. But Chloe Zhao came out of not nowhere, because we knew what kind of filmmaker she was, right?
Yeah.
We see this movie and we see the talk that she's getting surrounding what she did with the non-actors. And when you see it, Dave, you'll recognize just almost flawless direction.
Yeah.
And I'm not only going to predict this for Golden Globes. I think when Eternals comes out, you're going to see an ad that says Oscar-winning director.
Yeah.
And how cool is that going to be, man?
So good,
I think she's going to take it home. I do.
For sure. Oh, beautiful. That's exciting. And I would love that. I think that would be amazing. I mean, you love the Titans like Fincher and Sorkin, but again, like you said earlier, these are people that you feel like they've been there, they've had the accolades, they've had the recognition, and you get people like Chloe Zhao, coming in. It's just like these real auteur directors who just to get that recognition is wonderful. I'm dying to see Nomadland when it opens here properly. So very excited for that. But but like you said, Spike Lee is a very interesting snub for this. And again, we're getting a big snub for Da 5 Bloods. I was going to say, maybe they didn't push the film, but you're wearing the hat. So they obviously did. It's baffling. But that said, this is a really wonderful selection of directors here. And it's really good to see 3 women up as well. And it's not overly stacked with. This has obviously been the big thing over the last few years, is like, having that, what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of the balance and the equality, I suppose. See 3 powerhouse women, female directors is really good.
And it's not just, some people will be like, oh, well, they had to. No. These 3 directors directed some absolute incredible films, and they would, I think they would make a huge mark with you just look at what the Oscars has been trying to do and trying to make things diverse and this and that, but you have to create quality movies for that. And you talk up and coming directors. Oh my goodness. Regina King too. Let's not forget One Night in Miami, what she's been able to do transitioning from an actor to a director, but you could see all 3 of them get nominated for Best Director at the Oscars. And again, man, I love to see it because there are 3 well-deserved nominees. And of course, Fincher and Sorkin, they are the OGs. So they all deserve to be there for sure.
We've got Best Screenplay Motion Picture. We've got Emerald Fennell is back up for Promising Young Woman. That movie is sweeping these awards. Just crazy. I need to see it. We've got Jack Fincher for Mank. We've got Aaron Sorkin again for Trial of Chicago 7. Christopher Hampton, Florian Zeller. Oh, is this a double? Oh, we've got two people nominated for the one film, right? So Christopher Hampton and Florian Zeller, both for The Father, and then Chloe Zhao again for Nomadland. Again, the only one I've seen of these is Trial of Chicago 7. I love Sorkin's writing. I think it is just so incredible. I didn't love the movie. I liked it. I didn't think it was incredible. I didn't think it was fantastic. I don't think it's his best writing. And again, agreed. I can't speak on the other ones, but what are your thoughts on these ones?
All 5 great screenplays. It's very cool to see David Fincher take his father's work, Jack Fincher's work, and turn it into Mank. I love that. The Father was actually a bit of a surprising one. I expected maybe One Night in Miami on here just because of the dialogue, but I'm not upset at all. I think the screenplay is fantastic. It is going to come down to Mank, Nomadland for this category, and Trial, Nomadland for this category. And before I would have said Trial, but again, Nomadland is making such a surge, and it's just a beautifully written movie. So I think that's going to take it. But all 5 of these, well, technically 6 writers deserve to be on here, man. Just outstanding work.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is Best Picture Animated. Just kind of my realm. We've got The Croods, A New Age, Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. Now, I've got 2 for Pixar in here, which is Onward and Soul. Over the Moon, I need to see it. It slipped me for some reason. Looks amazing. Glenn Keane, of course, is behind that, who is one of the Disney animators from the Renaissance period. I've actually met Glenn Keane, a wonderful guy. I got him to sign my big Art of Disney book, massive little sketch of the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Man, it's one of my prized possessions, and his stuff is wonderful. Croods, A New Age, it's almost like it feels like it's the one that's just been thrown in there just because. And Wolfwalkers I haven't seen just yet. But that's from, what's the name of the studio that has come from? I always forget. It's the Irish, they're Irish, aren't they? Let me just have a look at this. Wolfwalkers, it is...
3 incredible movies.
Yeah. Oh, man, why is this? Wolfwalkers. It is from... Because they did Secret of the Cows, Song of the Sea, Cartoon Saloon is the name of them. Yeah. And I believe they're based out of Ireland, Irish Cartoon Studio, and their stuff is just insanely incredible. Me personally, Soul was one of my favorite movies of last year. It floored me. Incredible film. It's just everything. The animation, the writing, the voice performances. It's just such that movie. I got to the end of that movie. I rewound it to the halfway mark and rewatched the last act and a half again because I was just I need to keep soaking this film in. And I never do that. I can't say I've ever done that before. I loved that. That would be my pick. Onward was good, but I don't feel like it's awards caliber. It's certainly not top tier Pixar. But I wouldn't be surprised if something like Wolfwalkers took away the award because of just how gorgeously animated that film is. And it's so artistically just original and unique. And it wouldn't surprise me if that came through as that, maybe not the underdog, but everyone is going to expect Soul to win this, I feel. But I would not be surprised if Wolfwalkers took the award. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's almost, we've had many cases of this over the last couple of years. You have that big name film like Soul, and then one kind of like last year with a Klaus or something comes in out of nowhere. And Wolfwalkers is that movie. And up until Soul, it was by far my favorite animated film of the year. What a beautiful achievement that was. Great voice cast and gorgeous animation. But again, it's just when you're competing against a behemoth, maybe even a top tier Pixar film like Soul, it's very hard to compare. And, love Wolfwalkers, but I'm with you, Dave. Soul was my number one of last year. I just ate that movie up. Everything about it is amazing. And I want a Best Picture nomination. Don't think I'm going to get it, but I think it takes home this award.
Yeah, I agree. I think it has a chance to take a Best Picture nomination. I feel it does. we've only had 3 films ever nominated for Best Picture animated films, which is Beauty and the Beast, Up, and Toy Story 3. Yeah. I feel like Soul is that caliber of film, and it would. How many what do you call it? How many films are able to be nominated for Best Picture this year? Do you know? Because they keep changing it. Is it up to 10?
Yeah, it is up to 10. Next year, it will be officially 10. No less, no more. Okay. This year, it is up to 10. And because of that, something tells me we're not going to get 10 once again. But, man, if there was ever a 10th spot, Soul, please. Sure. I hope it gets in.
I would love to see it. And I would love to see it take the award. It won't, but I would love to see it. I don't know if we'll ever see an animated film take one, but man, that would be great. Let's take a look at probably the most controversial one. The most controversial category here, which is Best Picture Foreign Language. We've got another round. We've got La La Rona. So another round is from Denmark. La La Rona is from France. We've got The Life Ahead from Italy. Minari, USA. And The Two of Us, France, USA. Yeah. So what are our thoughts here? I haven't seen any of these films here.
Well, I can tell you Minari is not, I don't know why it's in this category. Okay, I get foreign language, but even then it's just like, it's an American movie. If anything was ever an American movie, it's about a family trying to start and build this farm. They're living the American dream in the film.
Yeah.
What do we miss here? And maybe it's the perspective because it is the Hollywood foreign press. And I look at the lack Best Picture like a Judas and the Black Messiah and a Da 5 Bloods, right? Maybe they don't. Our perspective on these events, like a Judas, like Da 5 Bloods, very, American-centric, like our history type of story. So even from then, I can see their perspective on that maybe they're not as aware, which is fine, right? So I can see movies like that getting snubbed. But when you put a movie like Minari in the foreign language category, when it is just, it is built around, I don't get it, Dave. Can you explain this to me? Because I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I feel like foreign language as opposed to best foreign film is their way to kind of cover the track of being able to just do it. But I don't think it belongs there because this is no matter what it's called, foreign language, this is the foreign category. Yeah. Having not seen it, it's not a foreign film. It might have a foreign language, but it's not a foreign film, as you said. And again, as someone who's not seen it, I know this. I know enough about it. And I think it's baffling as well. Imagine if that takes out the award. Like this, again, we are not disparaging the film. I'm sure it's incredible. Everything I've heard about it is like amazing. It is an amazing film. Yeah. But, it's one of those just things that's just so baffling.
Well, this may just be their way of including it because Minari is a top 10 movie for me last year. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. And they could have said, this needs to get in somewhere. Well, let's just put it in this category. But even then, it almost feels like a slight against the film. And I know that's not the intentions. I understand that. But it just doesn't sit right with me, Dave. Now, I don't know if it's going to win. I think when you look at foreign language film, I think of Another Round as the best of last year. Yeah. But because Minari was a top tier A24, a USA-based, still don't get it. But I think it's going to be between Minari and Another Round. But I look at that title and I see Another Round taking it. So those are my two picks. But again, this one baffled me. I just can't understand it. Yeah,
very strange. Again, you get these weird things that the Globes do. And that is one of them. That is an example of why is that there? Why is that there? Again, like the Martian going into the comedy category. Just confusing. Now that's most of the film stuff out of the way, other than like the best score and the best music and stuff. We're running a little low on time. We'll quickly kind of look over the television stuff. You're a big TV guy. You do all the streaming stuff. Best drama series, The Crown, Lovecraft Country, The Mandalorian, Ozark, and Ratched. I've seen The Crown. I love The Crown. Mandalorian, great stuff. Ozark, not a huge fan of. Ratchet, Lovecraft Country, I haven't got around to seeing just yet. My pick would probably be The Crown out of what I have seen, but I'm hearing great things about Lovecraft Country.
I love every movie in this category, or every series in this category, except for Ratchet. Again, it's Ryan Murphy. I just don't know why it's on there. Yeah. You look at and I guess it was a limited series, but even then it should be on here. The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
Was not.
Well, actually, there? Was that on this one or the SAGs? Oh, yeah. Queen's Gambit is here, and this is a question I was going to ask you, actually. It is listed as a tally movie. Best television motion picture. So the question I was going to ask, how do we determine what is a television series and what is a television motion picture? Particularly in the case of the Queen's Gambit, like, okay, if it's a 3-part thing, a 2-part thing, 3-part thing that runs for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever, okay, television movie. But something that's like, 8 or 9 episodes long, it feels like a film, but it's a television series. It's a mini-series. It's not a television film. How do you...
The way they name their categories, right, with foreign language feature and best television motion picture. I think television motion picture, I think something like maybe a Hamilton. That makes more sense to me.
For sure.
But it's just maybe even change the name there. Now, Small Axe. Yeah. Have you seen any of those?
No.
Dave? Those are legitimate movies. Those are, it's 5 different films and every film is different. That makes sense to me, right? Yeah. But you have something like The Queen's Gambit, and that's probably why I was thinking that is it just feels like even call it limited series.
Exactly right.
It just throws me off. I don't know. It throws me off.
It is weird. But it just feels, maybe you're right, but Queen's Gambit does feel like, it's a limited series. It's a full story, beginning, middle, end, and it's closed off. Maybe that's how they determine it. But I think maybe, have a limited series category for stuff like that, because, and then for television motion picture, but then maybe again, it becomes, there's so many movies that go direct to Netflix, which are being nominated for the regular motion picture category. Where's then the line to demote one of those to television motion picture? We've gone into this era where there's no line. It's like it's blurred. It's blurred. It's like how do you it's a weird thing. But I love The Queen's Gambit, man. That was one of my favorite things from last year. I absolutely loved it. Anya Taylor-Joy again in that is amazing. I'm dying to see The Undoing because I'm a huge Hugh Grant fan. I love Hugh Grant.
Oh, he's so good.
He's just so much fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But the other one we took a look at, what was that? Out of the drama series, Crown, Lovecraft Country, Mandalorian, Ozark, Ratchet. What would you be aiming for towards there?
I am going to stick with The Crown. It's that kind of show. Yeah. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's cool to me to see The Mandalorian in there. Yeah. I really do think only 3 have a chance, though, in Ozark, Lovecraft, The Crown. Lovecraft could take it. Yep. That is a show that surprised a lot of people, but The Crown, well-beloved all around the world, and I don't see it losing this.
Yeah, beautiful. I'd love to see it take it out. We've got Best Musical Comedy Series. We'll go through these really quick now because we are pushing the time at the moment. Just look at the time. But I've seen quite a few of these. Emily in Paris is how you're supposed to pronounce it. The Flight Attendant, which I've not actually heard of. Katie Kyoko's in that. No, maybe I have heard of that. The Great with Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult. Schitt's Creek and Ted Lasso. I have seen Emily in Paris, which I enjoyed as a trashy piece of television, and why it's nominated here is baffling. The Great was amazing. I thought it was just, again, one of those shows that just takes you by surprise. Elle Fanning is incredible in it. Even Nicholas Holt's great in that. Schitt's Creek, man, as well. That is one that just completely... It's one of those things I was like, I'll check it out. I'll see what it's like. And I just fell in love. Ted Lasso, I haven't got to it yet. I feel like a lot of people I've heard saw it on there. I tried it, and it's bloody damn good. Just fell in love. Ted Lasso, I haven't seen yet. What are your thoughts on this category here?
It's great. Emily in Paris, strange. I mean, even Bridgerton most recently, that show is the most watched show ever on Netflix in that period of time. And it's great. So, I just think they were kind of scrounging to try and find people or shows to put in this category at that point. But I think The Great is great. I think Schitt's Creek actually takes this home. Ted Lasso is amazing.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
It is the first episode I said, well, it's good. And then by the end, you're invested. Sudeikis' best performance I've ever seen. And that show is going to have longevity for years and years. I see this thing going for a long time. It is fantastic. I kind of want it to win, to be honest, but Schitt's Creek, it had an incredible run. It's a great show. And I think that's going to take this home.
I think it's deserving of it, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Was it the Emmys last year? It absolutely sweeped. Like more than any other show in history, like amazing. Yeah. Or like up there with like Cheers and stuff like that, like crazy. The rest of the Golden Globe nominations are all kind of the acting ones, but there's like, I've just noticed there's like 3 more pages, so we might give them a skip. But is there anything in there kind of off the top of your head? I mean, we got some powerhouse people nominated across all these shows here. Like Best Actress, you've got like Cate Blanchett, Daisy Edgar Jones, Shira Haas, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy. Best Actor, you've got Bryan Cranston, Jeff Daniels, Hugh Grant, Ethan Hawke, Mark Ruffalo.
Yes.
Best Television Actor, you got like Olivia Colman and Laura Linney, Sarah Paul. We got just so many just powerhouse people here. Is there anyone here out of any of these categories you'd like to see take away anything? Or is there anything a bit more controversial about any of these that you can think of off the top of your head?
Honestly, nothing too crazy when it comes to these categories. Yeah. I would love to see actresses like Shira Haas. She had one of the most emotional scenes from last year. Anya Taylor-Joy, obviously, in The Queen's Gambit, which, Dave, actually, the show, while fictional, takes place in the city that I'm living in right now.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool. They actually redid, there's this huge building in town. They turned the entire first floor into a Queen's Gambit celebratory room. It's very cool. I've not been able to go yet, but I really want to go. So that's pretty cool. So Anya Taylor-Joy, absolutely. I thought Mark Ruffalo's performance, and I know this much is true, both of them, he plays 2 people, but they're outstanding. Again, Sarah Paulson for Ratched. Okay. But you have love for The Crown and Olivia Colman and Emma Corrin, and anything The Crown wins, I will be happy with. So overall, I mean, I think solid nominations. Oh, and another one is they nominated Al Pacino for Hunters.
I just looked at that. Yeah.
Which, okay. He's Al Pacino.
He's there because he's Al Pacino. That's why he's there.
I mean, you're gonna go get Jack and Jill Dunkachino and throw that in on the.
This is the guy who was in The Godfather and Scarface and so many incredible movies like that, and never won an Academy Award until Scent of a Woman. So it's it's one of those things where it's like throw him in there because he's got to give him a little bit of recognition. And that Scent of a Woman thing is just so crazy. Like, didn't get one for The Godfather, didn't get one for Scarface. Heat, Scent of a Woman. Well, we didn't give it to him for the other ones, so we should, make amends, sort of thing. But I feel like it's the same. You always see these people just pop up because it is Al Pacino.
Is that Glenn Close this year for Hillbilly Elegy?
Well, maybe.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah. Very interesting, man. We'll cap the Golden Globes right there because everything else is stock standard. And we could talk about it for hours and hours. We'll briefly look at the SAG Awards. Now, one of the biggest controversies that I found came out of this was the stunt category, where we've got... because a lot of these nominations are very similar to the Golden Globe, so I feel like we would just be tracing over like what we've already done. So a lot of the actors are the same, the actresses are the same, and again, we're seeing that pattern that we will see continue throughout award season. The big, again, controversy that's come out of this is the stunt category, and I'm trying to find it here because we've got Stunt Ensemble and a Motion Picture, Da 5 Bloods, Mulan, News of the World, The Trial of Chicago 7, Wonder Woman 1984, No Birds of Prey. No Birds of Prey. Say what you will about the film, anyone. I know it's such a divisive movie. I personally loved it. I thought it was incredible. But the stunt work in that film is out of this world. And for it to not be nominated over something like Trial of Chicago 7, which again, not disparaging the stunt men, the stunt women, the stunt workers that were in that film. Look at something like Birds of Prey. You got people doing crazy backflips and all that slow motion cinematography with just people just all like flying all over the place. Insane stunt work to the level of, if not even better than Wonder Woman 1984 even.
And she's doing it herself.
Yeah.
I mean, Harley Quinn's doing all this.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Even a movie like, okay, obviously Tenet.
Yeah.
I mean, have we seen the behind the scenes where they're, learning how to fight in reverse, which is incredible. Even something is, you wouldn't think of it for an awards, but Extraction on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh,
the Old Guard.
Yeah.
On Netflix. I mean, these movies that don't campaign for something like Stunts, but looking at the last 2 years, I mean, John Wick didn't get a nomination last year, did he?
Yeah, no.
Come on. Are you kidding me? We are nominating the movies that are campaigning.
Yeah,
News of the World.
Right. Yeah.
I love Tom Hanks. He jumped out of a horse cart. That's all he did. He shoots a shotgun a couple times. That's it.
Yeah.
And this takes nothing away from what everyone accomplished in these films. They are awards-worthy films. Just not for stunts, in my opinion.
And I feel like a category like this is the category to recognize the films that are not getting recognized everywhere else. Trial of Chicago 7 is everywhere. News of the World is everywhere. I mean, of course, you've got Wonder Woman in here. You've got Mulan in here. We've got Da 5 Bloods in here. Mulan definitely makes sense. Incredible choreography in that film. In fact, I think the pull quote that Disney used was about the choreography in that.
Which makes sense.
But it just feels like take the awards darlings out of this category, like News of the World and Trial of Chicago 7. Again, not disparaging the films, great films, but put something like Extraction or Birds of Prey or The Old Guard up there. Take a look outside the box. It's just it's baffling.
Let's look at the television category, because this is almost the opposite effect here, because you have shows that more than deserve to be in this category. Cobra Kai, the Boys, The Mandalorian, incredible stunt work, well-deserved stunt work. Cobra Kai, I don't really think is ever going to get a nomination for something like acting. It's one of my favorite shows, but that's just the kind of show that it is. That's deserved to be on there. What's the difference between that and the movie category? Why are we doing the Oscar films here and then the worthy shows here? I just don't understand the concept.
It's... I don't know. At the end of the day, you can't please everybody, and there's only so many slots. But
of course,
the way it's just weird how it almost feels like they don't look outside the box sometimes, or they don't bother to look at something that's not campaigning. And I don't feel like that's how it should work. I think it should be like you need to have a broader view of what's out there. Even these films that don't have millions of dollars to campaign for an award, they're still as worthy as something that's come from Disney or. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Even The Invisible Man, which is low budget, not a lot of money put in, and stunt work, you don't immediately think, but when you think of some of those fight scenes and what Elizabeth Moss did, I think that's a little more than something like News of the World. But I don't know, man. I can't get behind this one for some reason.
It's a crazy one. Something I can get behind from this one. Chadwick Boseman, the man, the legend. He has, is that 4 nominations here?
4.
He's been nominated in 4 separate categories and 4 separate SAG Awards, which is Best Male Actor in a Supporting Role. We've got him in Best Actor in a leading role. So the supporting role was for Da 5 Bloods. Leading role was
was Ensemble.
And Ensemble. Well. And then Best Actor in a Leading Role for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Yes. And the other, what was the 4th? What was that an ensemble as well?
And Ma Rainey got
Ma Rainey is the ensemble as well. So he's got one award for each for himself and then as the ensemble. And this is the most nominations anyone has ever had at one award ceremony.
And incredible.
And it's posthumous.
Oh, see, that's the part that's still, I mean, to this day, Dave, can you I just can't fathom. It doesn't feel like he's
no way
gone.
No.
I just I don't know. I still don't feel that yet. Maybe we just have to give it some more time. But Delroy Lindo, let's talk about Delroy, because we got an ensemble nomination for To Five Bloods.
Yeah.
But no Delroy. Yeah. Not good for the Oscars, Dave.
No, I know. I just thought he was incredible in that film.
Me too.
You know, that last, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but that last kind of act where he just flips.
Yes.
And is like a soliloquy to the camera is some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing. And like I said on my letterbox, all the awards for Delroy Lindo, but no love, man. No love so far. It's crazy. For me, I think that is probably the one of, if not the biggest snub out of this whole thing. He hasn't had any love anywhere.
I agree.
That's crazy.
I completely agree. And the other thing we could talk about, obviously, is more Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Talk about that, but what do you say, Dave? What do you say about Jared Leto? He's a thing. I mean, this is that Paul Raci spot. This is 2 now for Jared Leto. He could keep rolling. We'll see.
That's how it usually works. Oh, man. For those who don't know the SAG Awards, I should have said at the top, but they are given by the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. And they recognize outstanding performances in film and primetime television. So you get a kind of a mix of both together in there. So they are very prestigious awards, of course, but again, you do get some very strange, sort of baffling nominations and categories and all that kind of stuff in there as well. We are pushing it a lot at the moment. We're just about an hour and a half in, but I do want to very kind of briefly talk about we said at the top, I was actually going to do this earlier in the show and we skipped over it, but you did the Sundance Film Festival, which was all virtual this year, and you said you watched a lot of movies. What's kind of, again, you were saying to me before, you haven't done your coverage of this just yet, so I don't want to take away from that, but kind of give me a few of your highlights from that, whether that is the best films you saw there or the best performances out of the movies, or just tell me a little bit about your experience and your highlights.
I mean, there were a lot of things I was looking forward to with this festival. Originally, it was Judas and the Black Messiah, and then I ended up getting a for your consideration screener, and that is not necessarily what you feel like a Sundance movie would be, even though it probably was the best of the bunch. But looking into the actual premieres at Sundance, a couple on my list that ended up really delivering. There's a movie called On the Count of Three, and Gerard Carmichael is a comedian, very talented individual. He actually directed this film, and he stars in it with Christopher Abbott, who I am slowly becoming a huge fan of. And the idea behind this movie is one that could have easily been handled in a bad way, because it's 2 individuals who, their outlook on life, not great, and they're considering suicide, right? So they make this suicide pact, taking each other out, but first they have to accomplish this mission that they go on, and it wouldn't be a mission you would go on if you thought you would have to live with the consequences. So this feels like an A24. I mean, if A24 doesn't pick this up, missed opportunity. An A24, crazy, dark, but it's also kind of a comedy. So you've got a little bit of dark humor in here as well. And man, this movie was a thrill ride from start to finish. It was actually my favorite of the festival, right behind Judas and the Black Messiah. So it really paid off on my anticipation. And, a couple that stood out. I thought a movie called Together, starring Ed Helms, surprisingly enough. It's a really sweet romantic comedy. You have a documentary called Flee about a man who is trying to escape his country. It's an animated documentary, Dave. You would love this, man. You would absolutely love this. It is a beautiful piece of filmmaking. And then the other 2 big ones, a movie called Mass. Did you hear about this?
I've heard about this.
Dave, this is 4 individuals, 1 table. They're sitting around talking about the consequences of a mass shooting. And that's pretty much the entire film. And Dowd is the highlight for me in this movie, from Hereditary and The Handmaid's Tale, but some of the best performances I've seen all year. And then a really sweet coming-of-age story that got picked up by Apple for $25 million.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Called CODA. And CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adults. And our main character here is living with a deaf mother, a deaf father, a deaf brother. So she has to go through a lot of scrutiny growing up. But then she starts to discover that she's a really good singer. And, parents not being able to hear you sing, that creates a little bit of tension between the two. So we see that play out in the film. And man, this movie is sweet, heartwarming, charming, beautiful, worth $25 million, in my opinion, for Apple to pay for it. And this one's going to come out, and it may be one of the biggest movies Apple has ever seen.
Wow. In
terms of getting people to that platform, man, because this is a great coming of age story. And I say this, I love Sing Street more. It almost reminded me of that feeling that I got from Sing Street. And it has the star of Sing Street, Ferdia Walsh-Pilo, in the movie, which is awesome. So, man, those are the films from. I went on a little bit of a rant. But those are the films from.
What I wanted to hear. That is beautiful. So like I said, I would love to have done the Sundance. Would have loved to watch these films. It's overwhelming for me, and I know that I just don't. I personally don't get the audience, because obviously when you get into YouTube, you find your pocket and you find your audience that you excel in, and this is your kind of thing, But for me, I just don't get the views on this. I had other things that I was like, I need to focus on, but it's great to hear about these fantastic films that are coming my way, and I need to make more of an effort going forward to see these films when they are out there and when it's award season and getting in the frenzy about it. I used to when I was a lot younger. When I'd go to the cinemas, I'd see everything that came out, and to get to the award season, I'd seen everything. But over the last few years, I don't know. I kind of slipped out of doing that. I need to get back into it, especially when I'm doing a podcast talking about movies.
Well, you're a busy man, though. Don't look past the fact that you are. It's not like you're just sitting around doing nothing, Dave. And I faced this as well. I mean, I saw a lot of movies last year, but there were still those movies I wanted to see, but you get so caught up in whether it's breaking news or something that drops, and you're so encouraged to make a video about, and then that video takes 3 hours and the day's almost gone. You know what I mean? So it is that it's trying to balance all of those things, Dave. But I truly think some of these films from Sundance, man, and some of these Oscar movies too, man, I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I'll be on the lookout on Twitter, man, because I think you're really going to love some of them. Yeah,
amazing. Well, I do. Yeah, whenever obviously, people out there who follow me, I do post my thoughts on pretty much everything I watch. I did the Letterboxd thing. I'm so into Letterboxd at the moment. And I post my thoughts on everything, give ratings and stuff. I feel like that's like my little space to be able to share my thoughts on movies that I feel like wouldn't get the audience anywhere else. And, so if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, I think it's just Dave Lee Down Under. Search me on there. Yeah. A lot of my time now, I usually do this at the beginning of a show. I kind of talk about the kind of stuff that I've been watching myself. While all you guys are off at Sundance, I've been watching some older stuff. I've got a stack of movies out there, hundreds of movies that I haven't watched on Blu-ray. I'm just trying to power through them. I get up early in the morning, I watch a movie before I get into work. Here's a few of the things that I've watched recently. Street Fighter. Have you seen Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Man, that is a...
that's a ride. This is one that for some reason, I've got into the Jean-Claude Van Damme films at the moment. I've always put them off. I love the Schwarzenegger stuff, the Stallone stuff, always been a fan. Never got into Jean-Claude Van Damme. But I've been watching his stuff recently, and they're just so bad that I love them, and I'm enjoying them, and it's just I'm laughing from beginning to end. I was told by a friend of mine who's a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, Jean-Claude Van Fan, as I call them, that do not watch Street Fighter. Don't watch it. And I'm thinking, well, if this guy who loves these terrible movies is telling me not to watch Street Fighter, I got to watch Street Fighter. I watched it, and man, I thought it was just so much fun. So stupid fun, laughing beginning to end. Just amazing. You got Kylie Minogue in there, and Ming-Na Wen is in there as well. Very young Ming-Na Wen. Amazing. Right. I just thought it was just so... But the thing I couldn't figure out with that movie was whether it was aware that it was really bad or whether it was actually trying to be a really good movie. A lot of these Van Damme films you're watching, like, they know they're bad and they're hamming it up. But this movie, it almost feels like it's trying to actually take itself serious. And it feels like a lot of those kids' films from the 90s but with brutal violence. So, yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one. I watched, yesterday I watched Heathers. Have you seen Heathers? With Christian...
it's been a long time, but I recall really, really enjoying that film. Did you like it?
I loved it. Winona Ryder, Kristen Slater, she is incredible in the film. Her performance is amazing in that, Winona Ryder. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of her very early stuff was just so good. You know, Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. And Christian Slater in this does a Jack Nicholson impersonation. And he's been on the record to say, I was just impersonating Jack Nicholson. Like, why? I don't know. I just thought it was good. So it's such a weird, quirky film. It almost feels like a John Hughes movie, but with like a twist, like something like Breakfast Club by way of like Natural Born Killers or True Romance or something like that. I really loved that. I thought it was just a terrific film. I watched Far and Away. Have you seen this? Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman. It's an epic film. It goes like 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours.
I think so. No.
It's a Ron Howard movie. Now, this is a movie that I've heard over the years. A lot of people say it's not great. Don't watch it. Not a good movie.
Okay.
Tom Cruise, I love his movies. Nicole Kidman, I think she's great as well. It's a Ron Howard movie. I mean, I'm going to watch as many Ron Howard films as I can. The score is by John Williams. And it's an incredible score. Like, it's nothing like anything you've ever heard of his score, of his work before. It's very, because it's about these Irish immigrants who move to America to try and start a life and try and, get land and the American dream, basically, right?
Okay.
And his score is so infused with just like Gaelic sounds, and it's incredible. I think it's one of his best scores. But I love the movie. I thought it was really good, and I'm a sucker for these like romantic, sort of sweeping, epic kind of things. I would recommend it to you. If not, I don't know if you will love it, but if not for Ron Howard and this incredible John Williams score. Like, incredible. It's a very sappy film. It's very corny. What you'd imagine from one of these romantic sweeping epics from like the 1990s. But I really loved it. I thought it was very good. And again, even on a technical level, really wonderful. I mentioned earlier Brawl in Cell Block 99 and Dragged Across Concrete. I thought they were both just so damn good, man. So damn good.
S. Craig Zahler is... I'm not kidding. I mean, it's got to be one of the most underrated directors working right now. I mean, all three of his films are outstanding. And to bring Vince Vaughn kind of alive in this way that you've never seen him before in both movies.
Oh, my gosh.
What a punch.
Amazing.
What a punch that packs.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I'd watched Bone Tomahawk last year sometime, and that is a brutal film. Wow. And I mean, not spoiling anything, but there's literally a guy getting ripped in half in that film, and his like innards spilling everywhere, cannibals, and like this is not the kind of thing I usually watch, but I was just like glued to the screen. Like, this movie is so just fucking cool, man. And Kurt Russell in that film, and I had to go and get his other two films, Craig Zahler's films, Brawl in Cell Block 99, Dragged Across. And again, they're probably a little too violent for me, but I couldn't drag my eyes away from the screen because they're just incredible. The writing, the direction, just the minimalism in the shot framing and how he holds shots for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then even then we'll cut to a shot that feels really jarring but works. I just think his films are just from beginning to end. I watched the documentary, if you haven't seen it, on the, I think it was on the Dragged Across Concrete Blu-ray.
No.
Goes for about 40 minutes, 60 minutes, and it charts Zahler's entire process of making a film outside of the studio system and then selling it to a studio to distribute. And I thought it was just fascinating. Yeah. Yeah. He said, I've written like 9 screenplays, and I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to do next and all this kind of stuff. It's like, it's incredible. This guy's prolific. And then him and his production team will just make the film. They'll sell it to a studio with the impetus that I get full reign over everything. I get final say, I get final cut. And for like an independent filmmaker who's come again from pretty much nowhere really, to be able to give him like full reign over a film is insane. But it's... Wow. And his films really do show the difference between a studio film and something that's been made independently, but they don't feel like an independent movie. I don't know. I just love these. They were both, like, I think I gave Dragged Across 4.5, and I gave Brawl in Cell Block an easy 5. Like, man, I loved them. Loved them both. And I would recommend them to anyone out there.
And you mentioned his style. You're right. It doesn't feel, because he'll hold on those shots and he'll make sure to frame up things in a way that maybe you've never seen it framed before. And especially Brawl, that is not something I've really ever seen anything like before. Just the way that it's pieced together and then dragged across concrete. I watched that with my dad. My dad said, I've never seen a movie like that before. And I said, well, that's what happens when a director like that gets full reign over his film and gets two prolific actors in that way, man. It's fascinating. Insane. I've never seen anything like his filmmaking before, and I can't wait to see what the guy does next.
You hear a lot of people say that. I've never seen anything like this before. Truly never seen anything like this before. You would have never got me to sit and watch a movie this violent. I mean, it's not like it's violence from beginning to end. Each of these films is like it's normal right until the last act, and then it's just like it earns its R rating in the last 15, 20 minutes of the film.
And they're long films too.
They are like
long.
2.5, 3 hour films, pushing 3 hours, dragged across concrete, but they don't feel it. It's those movies that are just like... particularly talking about like shot framing and stuff, dragged across in particular, there's this, when they're on the stakeout, you've got Mel Gibson and you've got Vince Vaughn on a stakeout, which is a very long scene. Right there. You got these two in the thing for a very long time, just two up in the scene, wide shot, you got the two actors, and then it will just randomly cut to a close-up of someone who is really weirdly framed to the side of the screen, and it just doesn't feel right. And almost the way that he edits and frames and everything, it's all about putting you in that headspace of like, it's on some subconscious level, it makes you really uncomfortable. And I think that's just the beauty of that work. It's been thought going into every single aspect of what this guy does. And I'm such a huge fan of his work now.
Me too.
For sure. I can't wait to
see
what he does now.
He's one of my favorite working directors right now. Probably easily. Top 15.
Oh, for me, easily as well. He's jumped in there with these three movies. Amazing. Another one I did want to talk about, I think you've seen this, Vivarium.
Yes. With Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you think about this one?
I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought it was this weird, a strange, unlike anything I had ever seen. Quirky performances, kind of scary, to be honest with you. But I responded in a positive way. I think I gave it around a 7-ish out of 10. So I enjoyed the experience.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I was actually very surprised because I'd heard it was awful, and it has like a 5 point something on IMDb.
Oh, I know.
And like a really bad Rotten Tomatoes score, and I thought this is going to be bad.
I was crazy.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah.
They told me I was crazy because I was like, I like this. Everybody's like, but it's weird, and I'm like, but does that mean it's bad?
No, for sure not. I thought it was really good. I'm just watching thinking, again, it's another one of those things just like, this is unlike anything I've ever seen before. The whole concept, I won't say anything for anyone who hasn't seen it because it's just one of those movies that layer upon layer kind of keeps unraveling itself, and it just gets weirder and wilder and just crazier as it goes on. And I think it's just to see someone just take this chance on a film that's so wild and wacky. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great. Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots is the other actor in there. Yes. They're both great. They both deliver just really weird. And the child, of course. Oh my God, I hate just creepy little children in movies.
Maybe the creepiest I've ever seen, Dave. That is, and I will not reveal how. But when that happened for the first time, I'm like, oh, okay,
weird. All
right,
yes. But I would recommend that movie to anyone who's into just kind of weird, quirky stuff. Definitely worth taking a look at.
Strange.
As we are pushing it, I do just briefly want a quick non-spoiler thoughts on WandaVision episode 5. Because I understand there's a lot of people out there. We are recording this the day after it's gone up, or for you, the day it's gone up. And I know there's people out there who probably haven't had a chance to see it just yet. Man, that episode. Yeah. It's crazy. This show, Kevin Feige is a madman. Look what he is getting away with on television, man. Look at the way he's expanding. If the biggest film franchise in history, essentially. But the way he's expanding it on television.
And Well, you were on board with the first 3 episodes, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely on board, right? I remember, really positive thoughts. I saw some that were understandably so hesitant.
Yeah.
And here's what I said in my review. I said, this is one that we just have to be patient with, because with patience comes a few payoffs here and there. And Dave, we have seen a plethora of payoffs. We've seen comic book Easter eggs galore. And in this episode, I will not say what, but there is a moment, a jaw-dropping moment at the end. I had to get my reaction on camera. This is the first full episode reaction video I've ever filmed, but I knew going in that something crazy was going to happen. I wanted to do one last week. I knew something crazy was going to happen. I just didn't know what. Dave, I'm loving. I'm absolutely loving this show. It's incredible.
It is terrific. My dad was one of the people who was very hesitant about it. After the first couple of episodes, kind of thought, I'm not too sure how to feel about it. I get it too. Yeah. But I just had to say, and I said this on the podcast last week, trust in Marvel. Trust in Kevin Feige. They do things for a reason. There's a reason it's like this, and there will be payoffs. And 5 episodes in, how many payoffs there have been. And I think the thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I mean, what are we, 12 years in now, and 22, 23 films or something, and now TV shows as well, the way they have slowly built our trust, and everything, almost everything they have done has paid off. You just got to give them time, and you got to give them that trust that they have earned over this 12-year period. I just can't wait to see where this goes. Apparently next week, which is episode 6, closes out Act 2 of the show. And then the last number of episodes will be the final act. So I think this upcoming episode is going to be absolutely wild as well.
I can't wait, Dave. It's almost like you have that feel of, I'm not patient enough to be waiting a week on every episode, but I actually love the release strategy of one a week. I think it's brilliant. I think from a marketing perspective, and just the talk every single Friday is WandaVision. Yeah. So they're nailing it in that aspect. And it's a show that requires patience with that schedule and just the way the show progresses. But man, at the end of the day, it's so worth it. And I think this is it is opening new doors for the Marvel Universe. Yeah. And it's done beautifully, and I'm just loving it so far. Yep,
I agree with absolutely everything you've said. And the release strategy, I've said it a number of times, perfect. Perfect for this show, because I am waking up and going, 3 more days to WandaVision. A couple more days, and we get that next little chunk. It's amazing. And who would have thought it would have worked out? Tell me, 10 years ago, you see stuff like S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Netflix staff, and this is on a totally different level. I never would have thought. The stuff they're getting away with on television, it's almost like you need to watch these TV shows if you're going to keep following these films.
You have to.
But for them to
it's almost a requirement, Dave, at this point. You have to watch it. Yeah.
But for Kevin Feige, who is obviously the producer behind all the Marvel films, head of Marvel Studios, for him to brainstorm this is one thing, but then for Bob Iger and whoever else is over at Disney making these creative decisions and signing him off to let him do this on television is insane. It's insane. I just think they're all geniuses over there. And I'm a bit of a Disney fanboy, so I'll always work it up. But I seriously think, as someone who has been watching movies nearly 30 years, it's unlike anything we've ever seen before, and we're moving into a new era of film, really. And this last year has proven it.
And we never pictured a connection between the television show and, like you mentioned, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but in this way, something that's going to impact a movie like, we know of the Doctor Strange connection, but maybe a movie like Spider-Man 3, we don't know yet, but all of those things connecting, again, it's something you have to pay attention to and you have to watch. It is a requirement to keep up with the storyline.
Absolutely. One of the things that struck me was they will mention characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, not spoiling things, but it might be a drop of Captain America or Iron Man or Tony Stark or something. But then you look at the Netflix shows and they're like, the guy with the hammer and the big green guy. It's almost this is the difference right here. And it's almost jarring when you hear Tony Stark. You're like, oh shit, this is a big deal now. I just love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. At that, man, we are pushing 2 hours, so I think we will close it off. There's a couple of things we were going to touch on. Actually, I'll briefly touch over this as we're talking about Marvel.
Yeah, go
There
ahead.
are various Marvel productions filming at the moment. Thor 3 is filming in Sydney, here in Australia. Yeah. We've got Doctor Strange, which is filming in London. And we've got Spider-Man 3, which is filming in the US. And we have got Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is apparently just started filming in Turkey. The Diz Insider gave a little scoop on that on their website just yesterday. So we've got, 4 Marvel films are currently filming. So this is now, Marvel are not just a production house who are making a movie here and there. They are a fully fledged studio. And this is now cementing it. They are filming 4 movies at once. We have got a TV show on right now. 2 weeks after this TV show finishes, another TV show starts. 2 weeks after that finishes, another TV show starts. We're going to get movies opening in cinemas. They've got Black Widow in the bank already. They've got The Eternals in the bank already. Yeah. They've got Shang-Chi in the bank already. This is a fully fledged, big 6 film studio. It's insane to see how they have gone from a little subsidiary from a larger company to this fully fledged studio in the space of 10 to 12 years. It's insane.
It almost feels like a genre.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we have the superhero genre.
Yeah.
But the MCU almost feels, because it's not just the consistency of what we've had, it's soaking in the Sony, the Fox, all of these different things, and now they have access to all of these characters and so much potential for content, and you're getting the unexpected ones like the Eternals, and then you're just offshooting the characters that we know and love, and like you said, to go from what they were, studio that not a lot of people believed in. Obviously, Iron Man and Kevin Feige, they changed that. But to do what they're doing now and to have the number 1 highest grossing movie of all time, all of those things, what an achievement. And we both grew up with the MCU. Obviously, we're going to love something like that. But to see that and to see all of these little Easter eggs from all of these filming locations coming out here and there, I'm just getting more excited, good. Dave. I can't wait.
Excited.
I can't wait.
It's going to be at a point now where it's literally going to be non-stop Marvel stuff. It's going to be hard to catch up, but we're going to be there, and we're going to be there day one every damn time. It's funny because WandaVision, last night I watched the episode at 7 p.m. in my time when it goes up. By the time I'd watched that, I think I started at maybe 7:15. By the time I'd watched that and went to Twitter, spoilers from the episode were trending. Literally went to trending, and it was #WandaVision trending alongside 3 big spoilers from this. I was like, what the hell? So you really have to be on it. You got to be there day one, and just, it's crazy. And this is why they don't dump it all at once. Because if they dumped it all at once, there's going to be some jerk out there who goes directly to the last episode and makes the big reveal at the end of the series trending straight away within 15 minutes. Yeah. It's crazy. But look,
and it's why they only gave press access to certain episodes,
exactly
because it's like, and you have to have that trust, obviously, as a studio, but there has to be something for everyone, press, audience, all of those things alike, and to hold on. And obviously there were leaks. I didn't even look at the leaks. I don't know what they were, but to hold on what I think we're going to get with some of these reveals in future episodes. I think they're keeping it a secret, Dave. I mean, look at The Mandalorian. They kept that a secret. To see what they can keep a secret. Yeah, so,
it's crazy. We'll see. Well, I keep saying, look, they've delivered so many big sort of twists and turns and stuff, and we're only 5 episodes in. I feel like we don't know the half of it just yet.
More to come.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that, I think, is a beautiful way to end out this show and some Marvel goodness. Man, thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I love you. I love your work. I love everything. Your thoughts on everything is just fantastic. And I feel like you've just brought an extra spark to this podcast with your knowledge and all that stuff. I want you on here as a regular man. Every time I need your expertise on these things, I want to get you on when the Globes awards have gone out. I want you in around Oscar season, man. You got to be a regular on the show. I would absolutely love that if you'd be willing to do that.
Dave, anytime you want to have me back, I will come back. Thank you so much, man. I love your show, love what you're doing, love watching your channel, and to come on here and, I try to be an expert. I don't know if I actually am, but man, I am invested in all of this stuff, man. And just to talk movies with you for 2 hours, a great time, man. Anytime you need me back, I'm willing to come on.
Thank you so much. I will be in touch with you again very, very, very soon. You'll be on in no time, I'm sure. Out there, for all those people out there, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me youtube.com/Austin Burke, on Letterboxd as well, and at The Burkinator on Twitter and Instagram.
Amazing. Get to it, guys. If you're not following him, please follow. Please follow him. His thoughts, his opinions, his videos, all amazing. It astounds me, man. Of course, this podcast goes out every single Monday on all podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and Audible. The visual element goes up on YouTube at the same time, but if you're a patron supporter, you get it 2 days earlier on a Saturday. So if you want to become a patron supporter and get that early access, go to patreon.com/Dave Lee Down Under for as little as $1 a month. You can find me on YouTube, of course, Dave Lee Down Under, Twitter, Instagram. Links down at the bottom of the descriptions. Not the bottom of the description, they're in the descriptions, down the bottom. Jeez, I've been talking for 2 hours. I'm scrambling over my words.
It's tough, man.
if you are, man, at this point, it is 2 hours. So it is getting there. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, I'd really appreciate any kind of reviews you can sling my way. That would be great. Usually just good ones, maybe not the bad ones. You can head to my Instagram, my YouTube channel and enter the competition. Australian entries only, I should be saying for that. I can only give that away. It's a stipulation from the distributor. Australian entries only. You just let me know your favourite B-grade Nick Cage movie or your favourite Kiwi film on that YouTube video. My YouTube preview for this week. What is coming up this week? I have got... my preview of the animated films coming out in 2021. I did that over my break. I call it my break, but I was kind of working, I banked a lot of videos for this year, so I'm very excited about that. I feel like I'm ahead of the game for the first time. So that's coming up. But I have actually had to amend this video a number of times because I keep delaying things or removing things from schedules, and so it's kind of a work in progress. But that animation preview will be up this week. I think maybe Monday or Tuesday. I will have my review for The Little Things up as well. The embargo has lifted for the States, but because it's not open in Australia until like later in the month, the local team kind of wanted the review to go up a little bit later, which is okay. So that'll be going up this week. And then I think that's it for the week. Other than that, just probably news bits and whatever else I end up having to do along the way. I'm currently working on my cartoon evolution for Tom and Jerry's Spike and Tyke. That's going to be the next one coming up at the end of the month. That's probably coming out, I can't remember the date, but it's like a few days before the Tom and Jerry movie comes out. So get excited for that. That's in the bag right now. I'm editing that. Actually, got to record the audio this afternoon, start editing that today. And that is it, I think. Thank you once again, Austin, for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you as always, and I look forward to having you on again. And thanks to everybody out there for listening. It's been a blast.
I agree. And you know what, Dave? I think this could be a more of an ongoing with the awards ceremonies, but even beyond, man. And I've got to have you on my channel, Dave. Let's think of something, a collab. Man. Come on, man.
Just send me a message and we'll nut it out. We'll sort it out. We'll get it done.
Awesome.
We'll get it done.
Yes.
All right, man. Thank you once again. Take it easy out there, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.